Hello there, and welcome to my first out of hopefully a series where I will be covering the Norwegian parliamentary elections. The election found place in about 3 months, but early voting has already started, so there are people out there casting their ballots right now. To show you guys the election and the numbers, I will be using the website Poll of Polls, which is a Norwegian aggregate of all the different pollings that are happening here in Norway. It's not as good as some of the models that you might see from 538, but it works to give a snapshot in time as to how the Norwegian public is feeling. But before we get into what has been going on the last couple of months, I want to go back to 2021, where the last election found place. Back then, the conservative government led by Erna Solberg had been in power for about 8 years, and during COVID, they, as a lot of other incumbents, didn't really have a good fight. So the socialist side in Norway ended up winning, and the three parties, Labour Party, Centre Party, and the Socialist Left Party, tried to create a majority government together. This didn't work out. The Socialist Left Party left the coalition talks, which made that Labour Party and the Centre Party created a minority government together. When they entered office in October of 2021, there was a lot of optimism and hope that they could do some changes after the austerity and COVID lockdowns. But as often is the case, that did not happen. Not long after they came to power, Russia invaded Ukraine, which started the energy crisis in Norway. The COVID lockdowns had a knock-on effect on international shipments, which started the inflation crisis, and COVID stuck around way longer than we had hoped. This had led to the government led by Jonas Gahr Støre being quite unpopular over a long period of time, which at their lowest was in December of 2024, where this was the average of the polling, where you can see that the Labour Party had lost about 9% and the Centre Party had lost about 8%, which is quite significant. This was the lowest average for the Labour Party in years. And you can see that the traditional opposition, the Conservative Party, really hasn't picked up that much steam of all of these losses. Most of this has gone to the Progress Party, which has been the junior member of the coalition from 2013 to 2021, but now looked to be the biggest party in Norway. They are a right-wing populist immigrant skeptic. At the same time, you can also see that the left-wing parties of the socialist left and the Reds started to grow a bit, but not nearly as much as on the conservative side. If this were to be the election results, the parliament would look something like this: a 98 seats to the Conservatives and 71 to the socialist side. And this would almost be a reversal of the results that we saw 4 years ago. So quite a large shift in just 4 years. And people were prepared for a sort of metaphorical massacre on the socialist side. In December, the voters were also asked who they wanted for their prime minister, if it was Jonas Gahr Støre or Erna Solberg. And as you can see, 28% preferred Jonas and 46% preferred Erna. But they were also asked if Sylvi Listhaug were a contender, and then 22% said that yes, they wanted her as the prime minister. Sylvi Listhaug is the leader for the Progress Party. At this time, there were talks on the left side of politics to vote for the Conservatives and Erna Solberg to make sure that she had the largest party, because traditionally in Norway, the largest party had the prime minister. Jonas Gahr Støre was at his most unpopular. There were even calls from inside the party quite high up for him to resign and let younger and more fresh faces lead them into the next elections. You can also see that the coalition partner in the Centre Party really struggled in the government. So a month later, the Centre Party, in the end of January, decided to leave the coalition government due to disagreements when it comes to implementing EU law when it comes to energy. This gave Jonas Gahr Støre the opportunity to create a new minority government, but this time only with the Labour Party. So only his own people in the government, no more infighting or with another party. When Jonas Gahr Støre sat where to create his new government, he probably did the best chess move in Norwegian politics in recent history. He asked Jens Stoltenberg to return to the Norwegian politics. He was the previous Prime Minister of Norway from 2005 to 2013. Then he was the General Secretary of NATO from 2014 until 2024, where he returned and was supposed to be the head of the Munich Security Conference. Back in 2021, he applied and get the job as the governor of the Norwegian Central Bank. But after he had to stay in NATO for 2 more years, he declined the job offer. But Jonas Gahr Støre convinced him to join back in Norwegian politics as the finance minister. And this has truly changed their fortunes. Because after he joined this in January, the end of January, you can see how the Labour Party has shot up. And since March, they have been stable at about 28%, which is higher than what they had last election. So what do polling look like now in June? Well, you can see they are at 28%. The Conservatives have been falling down to 16%. This is the worst that they have had in over 15 years. And the Progress Party has fallen a bit back, but they still are up a lot compared to their last election. The Centre Party, which left the coalition government, hasn't really grown that much, but they have stabilized at above 5%, which is like their historical level. You can also see that the Socialist Left Party has fallen a bit, but not too much compared to their last, but they had a couple more points back in December when they were at 9.4%. So they've been falling all the way back to 6.9%, so a fall of about 3%, while the Red Party is still up since their last election. If this were to be the election results, the parliament would look like this: 90 seats to the socialist side and 79 to the conservative side. This has gone from a massacre of the left wing to a fightable and a winnable situation that if you had asked any Norwegian in December, November of last year, nobody would say that this was possible. But politics works in mysterious ways, and now they even want Jonas Gahr Støre to continue, with almost 47% wanting him to continue. If we go back to where Erna was with 34, or when Sylvi Listhaug wasn't an option, Erna was at 46%. So Jonas is kind of more popular now than Erna was when Jonas was at his least favorable. Erna Solberg has fallen all the way down to 20%, while Sylvi Listhaug is at about 22-23%, so not that much changed since the last time. But as you can see, 45% still kind of want Jens Stoltenberg to return as the Prime Minister of Norway. That would obviously not happen in this case, because he have made it really, really clear that Jonas is the leader of the Labour Party and the one that will be leading the Labour Party after the elections. The election looks to tighten up. There is a real opportunity for the Labour Party and thus the socialist side to win this and not only fight. But there's something that could be the make or break for this. We haven't talked that much about these three small parties: the Greens, the Liberals, and the Christian Democrats. In Norway, we have a 4% sort of knockout rule, which means that if your party receive 4% or more of the votes, you're eligible to get more representatives from all of Norway and not just from the few areas of Norway where you get good results. So in this case, you could see that the Christian Democrats and the Greens are underneath that 4% threshold. So the Christian Democrats only get 3 representatives, probably from the southern parts of Norway, which is more religious, while the Greens only get 2 representatives, probably from Oslo and the area around Oslo. So which of these 3 parties end up under and over that 4% threshold could really make or break which side of Norwegian politics that end up with power in September. So this could be quite interesting. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. I'm planning to make a couple more videos going into how the election actually work and covering a bit more about the different parties, and of course covering how the polling changes as we get closer and closer to the election itself. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to have the best coverage of the Norwegian election here on YouTube, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.